We're going to be looking briefly at transparency and effects. The file that I'm working with here is called Transparency Effects Start. You can download it from the link in the description. So you can find your effects under the Effects panel, and you'll see here that you can apply effects to 4 different things: the whole object, just the stroke, just the fill, or just the text. So we're going to be doing a little bit of that, and also transparency can be found all over the place in design. So whatever you have selected, you can apply opacity to it. So opacity and transparency are dealing with the same thing, which is how see-through something is. Obviously, opacity is how opaque it is or how non-see-through it is, and transparency is how see-through it is. So water is transparent, milk is opaque. So let's take this coffee text here and let's make some changes. So I'm going to go to the fill color up the top here, and I'm going to change it to none, and I'm going to set the stroke color to this color theme, this color here, this creamy color, and I'm going to increase the stroke weight to 4 points. Now what I want to do is I want to apply a drop shadow to that text. I'm going to press W so that I'm in preview mode so I can see what's happening, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So in my effects panel, I'm going to do this to the stroke only, and I'm going to go to the FX button and I'm going to choose drop shadow, and you can see it applies a drop shadow here. I want it to be a bit harder than that, so I'm going to change the blending mode to normal and the opacity to 100. I'm also going to change the distance to 2 millimeters and the size to 1 millimeter. So it's a much harder drop shadow. Then what I want to do is I want to take this photo and I want to blend it in a little bit with this right-hand panel here. So what I'm going to do is select the photo, go to my effects panel, select object, and go to FX and choose directional feather. And then I'm going to go to the right-hand value, right, and I'm going to just increase that value to 50 millimeters. Okay, and then this logo I want to fade a little bit, so you can change your opacity here or even up here. I'm going to change the opacity down to 60. All right, so I've applied a whole lot of transparency and effects to the document. Now be aware that when you are working in transparency, you have to try and predict how that's going to affect the final print result. Most printers can handle transparency pretty well these days, but I'm pretty old school. I like to make sure that there's not going to be any transparency issues. So to check those, I am going to be doing a whole video on print pre-flighting and print production, but just to check your transparency, go to Window and go to Output and go to Flattener Preview and choose Highlight Transparent Objects and refresh it, and you'll see that it highlights in red where there's transparency. Now the most important thing here is to say highlight all affected objects, and when I refresh it, it shows me that my text is not being affected by this transparency. Now that might be different. If I wasn't aware of how to organize things, I might have this text overlapping a little bit there, and I might have it behind, so I'm just sending it to the back here. Arrange, it's at the back. Now if I refresh, can you see that it's starting to affect? In fact, I need to put it on the same layer. Let me just do that. I'm going to put this text on the same layer as the images, and when I refresh it, where is my text? Okay, the image needs to be at the top, this one here. Let me just put that image up there. Okay, so now this is what I wanted to show you. Now you can see, if I look closely, this text is also red. So what it's actually telling me is that because of the layering and the transparency, that there's a possibility that this text might be rasterized in the process of preparing it for print, which means that it's going to be more pixelated and blurry. So to solve that problem, what I always do is make sure that my text is above everything else. If you can possibly achieve that in your layers, you're avoiding any possible transparency issues. Let me just put that back in place. Okay, so you can play around with effects. You can achieve some pretty cool stuff. Go and look for some other YouTube videos on the stuff that you can do with effects, but always be aware, if you're going to be printing the document, how is this going to affect the final print, particularly text, in terms of rasterizing.